Hi guys, Bran here, and welcome to another commentary video. Today I wanted to talk about the gameplay choice of forcing your Decisive Strike. Decisive Strike is usually a perk reserved to prevent tunneling, but one of the most common ways to use it is not actually to prevent tunneling, but to force it in order to buy time by stunning the killer even though they were not in a circumstance where they were actually tunneling you. However, there are plenty of merits to using this as a tactic, but is it really as effective as people seem to think it is? Because it's used incredibly commonly in public matches in Dead by Daylight. The answer to this is more complicated than you would think because it's not a simple yes or no, and we will break that down in this commentary video. So the question is Decisive Strike a good thing to force, or would you rather save it for another juncture? The answer is complicated. In short, no, it is not a good play, except for a very, very tiny section of the game where it becomes incredibly powerful. So in the early and mid game of Dead by Daylight, when a match begins and we're at 5 to 3 gens, it's often not a good idea to force your Decisive Strike. Forcing your Decisive Strike early in the game just encourages the killer to come after you because you have essentially a defense tool to prevent yourself from being tunneled. That is what Decisive Strike's main purpose is. So if a killer decides to unfairly target you and try to get you out of the game early, you have essentially a backup health state timed with a 6-second stun. That is going to prevent the killer from being able to do that at least as efficiently as he would have if you would just come off hook otherwise. So the best way to use Decisive Strike, at least in the early to mid game of Dead by Daylight, is to hold it off and use it as a defense against killers that would likely be wanting to tunnel you. Because if you force your Decisive Strike and the killer runs into you again, there's nothing in his way from tunneling you straight out of the game, even when you come off that hook that next time. There's nothing you can do to defend yourself against the killer anymore. The killer has essentially been giving a free permission slip to get you out of the game as quick as possible. At that point, you're going to have to prey on his kindness of the player behind him, behind the screen there, because otherwise there's nothing stopping him from just eliminating you from the game early and turning the game into the 3v1 for the rest of your teammates. This is why forcing your DS early in the game is a bad idea, because you are increasing the likelihood that the game will turn into a 3v1 very, very quickly for the rest of your teammates. Now let's talk about when it is a good idea to use Decisive Strike, which is in the end game. Buying that crucial 6 seconds and potentially an extra chase's worth of seconds means a lot more when there's 2 to 1 gens or even all gens powered in an exit gate coming up. But if you can buy that extra time of the killer's attention away from the rest of your team, that buys them crucial seconds that are needed to finish the end game objectives and finally escape. When you decide that you are going to force a DS earlier in the match, like I said, that previews you to tunneling and getting forced out of the match. However, if you do it at the end game, obviously there's a lot less time left in the match, and the killer has a lot less time to be able to run up and capitalize on you forcing your DS and leaving yourself essentially defenseless for tunneling later in the match. If you're able to force that stun, and the killer takes the bait and continues to chase you, that buys the crucial seconds needed to finish a final generator and or finish the exit gates themselves. This is also important to note that Decisive Strike for some reason does not deactivate upon doing the exit gates, despite the exit gates being an objective themselves. So you could even use the exit gates as a way to force your Decisive Strike while furthering the escape for the rest of your teammates. Even if the killer so decides to tunnel you after said DS, it's most likely going to result in the kill on you and in the rest of your teammates escaping. Alright, that's going to be it for this video, friends. Do you think the Decisive Strike is a good thing to force, or do you think it is actually a waste of time? Let me know down in the comments below. Other than that, that's it for me today, friendos. I'm glad you decided to stick with me and watch today's video. I do upload daily, so hopefully I will see you tomorrow. But if I don't, I will see you when I see you, friends. Goodbye.